Sometimes the most painful regret in love is not losing someone, but realizing you never truly valued them until it was almost too late. It was a quiet Saturday afternoon. The small cafe near the park was filled with soft music and the comforting smell of coffee. Mark had come there to work and clear his mind after a long week. Across the room sat a woman he had never seen before. She was writing in a notebook, completely focused. Her coffee had gone cold, but she seemed too absorbed in her thoughts to notice. Then suddenly, a waiter bumped into her table and a little coffee spilled on the page. Mark expected frustration, but instead she laughed. "It's okay," she said gently. "It's just coffee, not a life crisis." Something about that moment caught his attention. Not just her beauty, but her calm energy. When she stood up to leave, she accidentally left her pen on the table. Mark picked it up and followed her. "Excuse me," he said. She turned. "You forgot this." She smiled warmly. "Thank you? That pen writes my best thoughts." That simple exchange turned into a conversation. And that conversation turned into the beginning of something neither of them expected. Over the next few months, Mark and Lena began seeing each other often. Coffee became dinner. Dinner became long walks. Long walks became deep conversations. Lena had a way of making people feel heard. She listened without interrupting. She cared without pretending. And she supported Mark in ways he wasn't used to. She encouraged his goals. She believed in his ideas. She celebrated his progress. But while Lena was slowly building something meaningful, Mark was comfortable keeping things casual. Liked her. He enjoyed her presence. But commitment wasn't something he was thinking about. And because Lena never pressured him, he assumed she would always stay. Over time, small things began to change. Mark started canceling plans more often. Sometimes he disappeared for days without explanation. Sometimes Lena felt like she was the only one truly investing in the relationship. When she mentioned it, Mark would say things like, "You're overthinking. Relax, everything is fine." And because Lena cared about him deeply, she tried to be understanding. But patience slowly began turning into quiet disappointment. One evening, they were sitting together on a bench overlooking the city lights. Lena looked thoughtful. "Mark," she said softly, "do you see a future with me?" Mark laughed nervously. "Why are we talking about the future? We're happy now." But Lena didn't laugh. "Because I don't want to build something that has no direction." Mark shrugged. "Why do we have to define everything?" That moment created a silence that neither of them knew how to break. Weeks passed. Nothing changed. Mark continued living his life the same way. But Lena started noticing something painful. She was the one holding the relationship together. She was the one hoping for clarity. She was the one waiting for him to decide. And love should never feel like waiting for someone to recognize your value. One evening, Lena invited Mark to dinner. Everything seemed normal, but something in her expression was different. After dinner, she looked at him calmly. "Mark," she said, "I care about you deeply." Mark smiled. "I know." But then she continued, "And because I care about you, I have to be honest with myself." Mark looked confused. "I deserve a relationship where I'm not guessing my place in someone's life." Mark shifted uncomfortably. "Lena, you're making this bigger than it is." She shook her head gently. "No, I'm finally seeing it clearly." Then she said the words that changed everything. "Love you. But I refuse to beg for a place in someone's life." That night, Mark couldn't sleep. For the first time, he felt something he had never felt before. The fear of losing someone who truly cared about him. He remembered every moment. Her loyalty, her kindness, her patience. And suddenly, he realized something painful. He had been treating something rare, like it was ordinary. A few days later, he called her. "Can we talk?" They met at the same cafe where everything started. This time, Mark looked serious. "I've been thinking," he said. "And I realized I've been careless with something valuable." Lena listened quietly. "I don't want to lose you," he said. She looked at him thoughtfully. Wanting someone and choosing someone are different things. Mark nodded slowly. "I know, and now I'm ready to choose." Sometimes love isn't lost because two people stop caring. Sometimes it's almost lost because one person takes too long to realize the value of the other. But real love requires something simple: clarity, intentionality, and the courage to choose someone before it's too late.